Hi everyone, welcome back to SME Paw's second video series, Here My PAWsome Stories, Fosterers Edition. Today, we have Zylia who will be sharing with us more about what goes behind the scenes of fostering hamsters in Singapore. Let's go!
Hi, I'm Zylia Heng and I'm a Year 3 undergraduate. I'm also a fosterer with Hamster Society Singapore. I've been fostering since September 2019. I got to know them because I adopted my second hamster from them, and the foster was actually the president of HSS. So she encouraged me to get on board, and after thinking and discussing, I decided to later in the year. I joined HSS. I wanted to volunteer with HSS because I wanted to spread more awareness about proper hamster care, because I feel like a lot of Singaporeans are very misinformed about how it's like to care for hamsters, like in terms of the cage size, the nutrition. And I thought that HSS was a good platform for me to spread this awareness. And I also learned from her about how many hamsters are abandoned or surrendered to the organization because owners realize that they cannot commit to this responsibility. And I just wanted to help out these hamsters. Including my current two, I fostered a total of 35. Each foster, upon us taking them in, they take an average, from my experience, of 2 months to get adopted out, because it depends on their personality and their health conditions, when we first take them in. Out of the 35 of them, 33 of them got rehomed. I vividly remember two passing away before they got adopted. So one of them came to me and she was healthy. I already did her profile and her photo shoot, and she was actually pending for adoption already. But I think about 2 weeks or 1 week before her adoption date, she started to develop a respiratory condition. So actually that's quite a serious, usually hamsters that develop such a sickness will deteriorate very fast. And she didn't really manage to survive it. So it was about a week of her being treated. We had oxygen therapy, we nebulized her, but nothing really worked. So she eventually passed on. And the other one, he was surrendered to us, and he was already quite old at that point of time, and he during his time here he developed diarrhea, and he was just very weak overall, so I cared for him for about 2 months before he passed away. Memorable fosters will definitely be the ones that I ended up adopting for myself. So my first foster fill was actually a Syrian hamster, and it was my first time handling a Syrian hamster. She was only 1 month old, so she was quite small and very, very scared. And I didn't think I was going to adopt her at first, but after about 2 months of us caring for her, my family eventually grew on her. She was with us up till April this year. She was about 1.5 years old. So most of our rescues are done when a member of the public messages us on social media saying that they found abandoned hamsters. And because our fosterers, we foster at home and we are located all over Singapore, we try to get fosterers who stay nearby to head down to the rescue site, and we will maybe from there collate the number of hamsters, discuss how the hamsters are going to be distributed to fosterers with slots, or if we do not have slots, we try our best to expand. And we take in these hamsters depending on their health condition. Once again, we will monitor them accordingly. So for healthy hamsters that do not seem to have any outward problems, we observe them for a period of about 2 weeks before we get them adopted out. And in this 2-week period, we observe for signs of pregnancy, of any developing skin conditions, And also in this time we tame them. We try to get them to be more sociable and more receptive of humans, because usually these hamsters, they are very, very scared. Because they've been like left out, you know. And but for the sick hamsters, we will bring them to the vet maybe the following day or within the same week, and we get them treated. So it depends on whether they can be treated, depends on their age, and then we adopt them out afterwards. If not, they'll be cared for long term. I would say that we can expect to visit the vet maybe once a week at least, regularly, and also depending on the health condition. So the most common health condition that of the hamsters we take in will be like skin conditions, especially if they were abandoned and left out for a while, or if they were kept in like unsanitary conditions. Yeah, so usually we will be treating them for mites, and this will require us to do mites treatment, antifungal treatment, and we have to clean the cage every 3 days to a week, yeah, with like boiling hot water. So this, yeah, is to like kill the mites. So this takes up quite a significant amount of time, maybe like an hour or so. And if you have multiple fosters, it will take even longer. So we call them long-term hamsters. It's because most of the time, even after they've recovered, it's a condition that may come back again, or maybe because of their old age. We try not to adopt out old hamsters as much as possible, unless there's someone who's very, very interested in adopting. Yeah, so we just care for them and let them live as comfortably as possible before they pass on, because each hamster's lifespan is about 2 years, and usually upon rescue, especially for these long-term hamsters, they are much older already. So we want to help them live out the rest of their lives comfortably. Yeah, so we refer to them as like long-term hamsters, palliative care. I think the most important misconception that we have to debunk is the cage size. So a lot of people think that the cages at pet shops are okay because they are sold at pet shops. But most of the time, the cages in pet shops are way too small. So I feel that potential owners, like people who are interested in hamster keeping, should do their research and find out more about the appropriate cage sizes, the wheel sizes. Yeah, and another thing is nutrition. A lot of people are misinformed. They think that hamsters only eat sunflower seeds because of cartoons, yeah, and just wrong information. Hamsters actually require like a wide variety of grains and seeds, yeah, and yeah, they need a lot of variety in their meal. If not, they will get bored, or they may get obese, especially because sunflower seeds are very fatty, yeah, and this will develop to a lot of health problems. And maybe another thing that I would like to add will be the fact that people think that vet fees for hamsters are very cheap. Actually, that's not true, because an average vet visit for one hamster can cost between $100 to as high as $600, depending on what treatment and what kind of medical condition the hamster is in. Hamsters, they are very small, so they are very vulnerable to a lot of things. And the most common issue that I find with hamsters in Singapore is because the genes are not very pure because of how everyone just breeds anyhow. So they develop a lot of genetic problems like tumors and other health problems. So for tumors, you have to go to the vet to get it removed, surgically removed, and it costs like $500 and above. So usually a lot of owners, they are not financially prepared for this kind of situation, and they end up abandoning their hamsters or giving them up on Facebook, that kind, and in like hiding the illness from the new adopters. And I think that this is a very prevalent issue in Singapore because I've experienced this quite a few times in my time at HSS. Hamsters at pet shops, they only cost like $15, $20, so people rather replace their sick hamster with a new hamster rather than treating the current hamster. Like a lot of parents, they buy hamsters for the kids thinking that they are good starter pets, but when they develop problems, they decide to just change the hamster because they may not have any emotional attachment, or they are misinformed and they buy 2 hamsters from the pet shop and they start breeding. So that's a very, very common reason for abandonment. I think as far as possible, I'll try my best to at least keep 1 foster slot because after my 1.5 year, 2 years experience in HSS, I found that we hardly ever get a break from not taking in any new rescues. There will always be abandonments, there will always be hoarder cases, surrenders, and I think I would like to be part of an organization that helps these hamsters. I think that potential foster, many people think that they need experience before joining any organization as a fosterer, but for Hamster Society, we do not require all fosterers to have experience, but they need to have done their own research. They need to know what the minimum care is, which is the cage sizes, the wheel sizes, the nutrition, and also they need to be very committed, dedicated, and it will be great if they love hamsters, because our organization is currently filled with many people who are like, we all love hamsters, we want to spread awareness about the proper care. So I think that is important. Hamsters, they may look easy to care for, but as I previously mentioned, when it comes to medical care and the rescued hamsters always being found in less than ideal conditions, potential fosterers need to be prepared to dedicate a lot of time out of their schedule to care for these hamsters.